Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Alison, and in this video we're going to be looking at whether you have eczema or not. How do you know you have eczema and the different types of eczema? Before we start, remember to like, subscribe, share, comment and hit the notification so you know when the next video is coming out. And if you look below in the description, you will see the 3 guides that are completely free to you: eczema more than skin deep, adult acne more than skin deep, and dry skin more than skin deep. As a child, for myself and my siblings and other members of my family, my first experience of eczema was that it left dark marks on the skin and that it was always in clusters around the joints. It was a complete eye-opener to me to know that on paler skins it was red. On my son's skin it was little spots, and in fact I didn't even recognise eczema on my son's skin when I first saw it. When I first took him to the doctors and they said he has eczema, I just said, "Really? Are you sure? Because that looks nothing like my experience of eczema." So we're going to just describe to you now the several different types of eczema that exist. So if you're watching this video, you already know the different triggers for eczema. You've got skincare that can trigger it, food, the environment or dry air, changing weather, pollen, allergens, the list is endless. However, we're now going to look at the different types of eczema because this is where I had no idea when I was younger, and it was a rude awakening when I was older and also as a parent. I also haven't forgot the non-physical triggers like lack of sleep and also stress. Now, with all that in mind, the most frustrating part about eczema is the itch and the fact that it comes back again and again, and obviously different triggers can trigger off your eczema. So what I'm going to look at now is the different variations. First, you have atopic dermatitis, which is the most common form of eczema, and that's the one that you get, which is at the patches and against the neck, the elbow joints and the knee joints. This type is one of the most frustrating ones. It leaves your skin prone to infection, it inflames the skin, and it can appear anywhere. I've had it on my face as a child and on my body now as an adult. Do still get a little bit on the face, and what it does is when I get eczema on the face, instead of hyperpigmented where the skin gets darker, I actually get hypopigmentation where I get patches of skin that are lighter than my original colour. My son also suffers from it that way. However, I do find when I get eczema on my body, I do get the hyperpigmentation. So be aware that anybody can get hyperpigmenting skin and you can get eczema anywhere. Now, whereas atopic dermatitis or eczema can also be genetic, you'd also then have something called allergic contact dermatitis. And this tends to happen when your skin comes into contact with a substance that's triggered an abnormal reaction in the immune system. So for me, I would keep away from fragrances. That's definitely a trigger. Fragrances, whether that be in your skincare, in your wash-off skincare, your stay-on skincare, whether that be detergents, laundry, liquids and powders. I know some people also have allergic contact dermatitis from wool. Even though it's natural, it can cause a reaction as well. Grass as another example. Even something like vinegar for some people, it touches their skin and it causes a reaction. So that's definitely another one to be aware of. Now the third one, which I didn't realise was actual eczema, but I did my research, and most of you would have heard of this, it's cradle cap. Or another word for it is infant seborrheic eczema. I might have pronounced that wrong, but that doesn't irritate at all. It does look awful if you're a parent, you don't want to see it on your child. One thing I did learn recently from somebody was in a way to prevent that. They had their first child and that child got cradle cap a lot. Their second child, they kept a hat on them all the time to stop the air around them from drying their scalp out. So it's not itchy, but it just looks very, very crusty. And it's kind of normally gone around aged 1. So it happens to newborns, and it's kind of, like I said, it's gone before the child gets to age 1. I know for myself as a child, I benefited from my mother using, again, some natural non-reactive oils, so a little bit like hemp seed oil or really, really refined olive oil. Something very, very light and mild. But again, speak to a health practitioner if you want to be putting things like that on your child. But again, you normally wait till the child's a few months old before you start putting any kind of product on their skin. Now in adults, that adult seborrheic eczema is dandruff pretty much. So when you see people with dandruff, It's not because they've done anything wrong, it's not because they're being unclean, it's not because they're not washing their hair properly. It's another form of eczema. And again, it doesn't tend to itch, or if it does, it doesn't itch much, but it doesn't look nice for the person who's got it because people are staring at them. And it can become infected if it gets really, really bad, and it will then need an antifungal treatment. Now, again, for myself, I tend to get a little bit just at the front, so does my son. But before it gets to the point where it causes a problem, we just use a little bit of a Tigs body butter or any kind of natural carrier oil. Again, hemp seed oil, coconut oil, shea butter, let's have a think, avocado oil, jojoba oil. All these things that are not going to cause problems for you as long as you you don't react to them, but they're 100% natural and they do help to ease the actual dry scalp or the dandruff. Now, another type of eczema is called dyshidrotic eczema, and this is more common in women than men, but I can't tell you why, and neither can the experts. It appears as small fluid-filled blisters on the hands and feet, and it can actually itch and hurt like crazy. It can cause the skin to crack and also flake, so it's not the nicest. It looks uncomfortable and it feels uncomfortable. So dyshidrotic eczema tends to be caused by specific things like allergies, stress, damp hands and feet, whether that be damp hands and feet from sweat or from remaining wet. Exposure to substances as well, nickel, which used to be found in a lot of cheap jewellery, cobalt, which luckily most of us shouldn't come across, which tends to be in mines, which is unfortunate for those who have to work in the mines, and chromium salt. So it's not as common as, for example, the atopic dermatitis. Now, another type of eczema you may have come across or may have seen, or in fact might have had yourself, is hand eczema. It's dry and itchy, and it actually forms blisters or cracks. It's normally, I've come close to having it, but I've managed to spin it around, because the best time to look after your eczema is as soon as you get it. Hand eczema is normally triggered by chemicals that are causing an irritation. So people like hairdressers, again, will tend to get this, or people in the healthcare who are constantly washing their hands with quite harsh chemicals, people in the laundry or the dry cleaning industry. And you might also have noticed recently that with people washing their hands a lot and also using antibacterial gels, that your hands are getting more dried and cracked, which again is where using something like neem oil together with Tigs natural body butter is coming really, really handy. Now, another type of eczema you might not have even realised was eczema is something called nummular dermatitis. Now, it's round, it's like a round shaped coin on the skin. It gets very itchy and it can also become scaly. Now, I never realised I had this until I did my research, and this is because you can get this because it's triggered by insect bites or a reaction to metal or, again, chemicals. Now, it also triggers off dry skin. I remember getting this when I had an insect bite, probably either a midge or a mosquito, and then as well as having the round shape that you get from the actual bite itself, you then start to get the rash around it, and it's super itchy. I mean, you'll all know what it's like when you've gone away or you've been bitten in the garden or something like that, and you cannot get that insect bite to stop itching. It's pretty much like that, really. And in fact, atopic dermatitis, so the eczema that is the most common one, is also a trigger for nummular dermatitis as well. So there you go. Now, if you are someone who's unlucky enough to have varicose veins or weakened veins, then you're going to have heard of the next one. This is called stasis dermatitis, and it's triggered by fluid leaking out of your weakened veins and into the skin. It causes swelling, itching and pain, and it mainly affects the lower leg. Now, this can cause your legs to feel achy and heavy, and the legs can swell up, especially after walking. So definitely make sure you relax the legs after walking if this is something you get. Now, if you're unlucky again with this one, you might develop sores. So take this one very, very seriously. Luckily, it's not as common as atopic dermatitis, but again, it's just as horrible for the person that's suffering from it. Now, as you can see, there are several types of eczema, and you can suffer from more than one, or if you're lucky, none at all. If you are someone who's been back and forth to the doctors with your eczema and you haven't actually tried any other route, it's worth looking at speaking to a homeopath or a naturopath and trying the natural route. Because remember, when you visit your GP, they look at the symptom, they look at the eczema itself and give you a quick fix cream. When you look, if you go and see a naturopath or a homeopath, or try this on your own, you need to look at the symptoms, what is causing the symptoms. So what is triggering your eczema, or possibly what was the root cause of your eczema? Did you take antibiotics? Have you been using chemicals? Is it genetic? Have you, for example, been somewhere that could have triggered it off, the allergens in the air, pollen in the air, things like that? It's definitely worth doing that food diary and that lifestyle diary and taking a note of everything you've done every single day. Have you changed your jewellery? Have you changed your skin products? What did you do that? Did you go swimming? Did you put chlorine on your skin? Were you stressed that day? Had the temperature changed outside? Is it pollen season? All these different things, if you write them down, you won't forget. Write them down, write down your symptoms and keep a log of all what is going on with your body. Even if your eczema is genetic, you can still control it and you can also live without it. It will always be there, lurking in the background, but you can control it. So don't think all is lost. Now, you've heard me mention health practitioners such as homeopaths and naturopaths. Now, I'm not one myself, but the reason I really rate these health practitioners is because they don't just look at the symptom, they look at your whole body, your lifestyle, they look at eczema as a whole to try and work out what is going on and why your body is responding the way it's responding. As well as naturopaths and homeopaths, they might actually get you to look at seeing someone who does acupuncture, massage if it's to do with stress or your lifestyle, or even light therapy, because the actual UV lights from these light therapy treatments can also help your eczema. Just remember that because we are all unique, it's not a case of one thing fits for everybody. What works for one won't work for another, and so on and so forth. It might even take a multitude of different types of treatments to get your eczema under control. Remember, eczema is normally caused by multifactorial reasons. In other words, it might be food, it might be skincare, it might be stress. You might deal with one of those things and still get eczema coming back, so you need to look at what else is going on with your body, with your gut, with your overall inflammation in the body, and with your skin. With all that said, there is light at the end of the tunnel, so don't take one person's word for you who tells you you've got to live with it for the rest of your life, because I, myself, my son, my children, members of my family are testament to the fact that yes, eczema is in our genes, it's genetic for us, but you can also live without it as long as you get on top of it. Hope you found that useful. So all that leaves me now to say is remember to like, subscribe, share, comment, hit the notification so you know when the next video is coming out. Remember to look below in the description and you will see the guides for eczema, dry skin and adult acne. I will see you on the next video. Bye for now.